Hi everyone, this is Coach Sandra. Thank you again for tuning in to another Journey to Authentic Living video. And if you're not following us on Instagram, please do. We also have a Facebook page at Journey to Authentic Living. So today I'm actually outside. It's a beautiful day. It was raining and cloudy, and so I just want to do this video out here while it's gorgeous. I want to talk about a few things, share actually an experience with you. I hope you can all hear me because I know that the planes are going by, but I'll try not to let this share, this experience that I want to talk to you all about, to be too confusing. It does regard the modality, the EFT I was talking about in previous videos. And I wanted to share an experience to help you understand sometimes how our subconscious works. So I had been tapping on something that was a professional situation on a professional level. And for some of you who are aware of EFT, how the process works a little bit is that it kind of relies a lot on memory through feelings. Now, memory doesn't always have to be an actual visual. A memory is a feeling. It's an emotion that comes up, and there's a process that we work through in order to get to the root cause. And usually it is activated through a memory. So here I am, and I'm tapping and for something professional, and I'm going through one round or two, and the next thing I know, I get this image, right? That's kind of how it happens. So I have this image in my mind's eye of a time where I was about 17 years old, and my cousin Carla and I are planning, this was like in the 1980s, and we were planning our first trip by ourselves to Europe. And so we were saving money and all that stuff. And we had looked at the countries that we wanted to see. And from my recollection, I remember during that time that I sort of delegated some of this work to my cousin. And that's how at least I remember it. I mean, I could always call her and let her know. And the feeling was that I had always relied on her. She was not only my cousin, she was like a sister to me, and she was one of my close friends. I was raised the only child. I didn't have any other siblings. And so I really relied heavily on her. And that's the way I recall a lot of memories with her. She was always very, very good to me. And so as I'm tapping, I'm thinking about this memory, and I kind of felt bad because I did delegate some of the work to her. So as I'm tapping, I'm also feeling as though I'm not initiating things, right? I'm just allowing other people to kind of guide me, if you will, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? What's wrong with it is that this so-called not taking initiative has happened in many aspects of my life, or so I think. At this point of tapping, I think that this is what's happening. And I feel bad, right? I feel like really confused. Sometimes when tasks were given to me, I feel like really confused. Like, what am I going to do next? I don't even know how to do this. Even if people might kind of give me some type of instruction or whatever, I have found myself confused. And even in the current time frame, there are times where I find this, right, not knowing what to do. So this is my first memory. Then prior to that, I realized that as a teenager, when my mom was working full time, my parents were also divorced. So I did not have my father living in my home anymore. My mother became the main matriarch. Um, and and it was basically, to kind of cut to the chase, it was unsafe for me to really state any kind of opinion. But this was even my cousin Carla. We grew up with mothers that were very dominant. And they most likely learned this from their mother, because my grandmother, Josephine, was a very dominating alpha female woman. Okay. So I've got my mother, and then she's got her 3 or 4 sisters that are pretty dominating, right? And so as teenagers, you're underage, so you're not an adult, and you have to abide by their rules. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. But when you can't state an opinion about really anything, or when you can't, sorry, I'm going to let that plane go by. So we lived in a situation where there was not collaboration or cooperation. You had to listen to your mother, and you had to do exactly what she wanted you to do. Even if you had a wiser solution, even if you had an opinion on something, we just weren't allowed to voice that. And so it's no wonder that, here I am now, again, 18 years old or 17 or whatever. And I wasn't accustomed. I wasn't given the skills to sort of voice my opinion, to sort of initiate. And especially if I didn't really know what to do and somebody expected me to initiate something, well, I felt frozen. So when I was tapping, I realized that, because you get in the nitty gritty when you're tapping, you get into the detail, because the devil's in the detail, right? So I felt frozen, and I could feel it like in my body, I'm frozen. So, I'm tapping on all of these points, feeling like I'm frozen, not knowing what to do, feeling confused, feeling overwhelmed. And of course, then a whole plethora of emotions come up. You feel so disempowered and so exhausted, and I could feel it sort of in my body. Well, when I had been tapping, I had, on the current situation of something in my business, another memory came up when I had been living in Colorado years ago. And I had my own business as well, the same business. It was called something different. It wasn't Journeytoauthenticliving. And I was trying to get involved in the Chamber of Commerce over there. And I knew a lot of my colleagues that were doing some of my same work, and, try to connect with them and try to network and do all these things. And it just didn't work out. The whole vibe just did not really work out. And I kept on trying, and I kept on putting myself out there. And I'm a very hard worker, so I know that I'm not lazy. And in the meantime, one of the things that I remember living in Colorado, it's like, well, I might as well just give my work for free, because of course there was that mentality, give your work for free. It's the law of attraction. If you give it for free, then you'll get whatever in return. But that was distorted. Okay. So I'm not saying I don't believe in that, because I have given, and I do believe in pro bono work, but I can't be sustained with pro bono. I mean, everybody who owns their own business, or anybody who works for anybody else, I mean, you don't expect your boss to give you nothing for the work you do, right? But anyways, without going off on a tangent, so here I am in Colorado, and I'm putting myself out there, and, Sam's helping me, and we're both very busy with things, and I'm part of this organization, and then I don't feel like I don't fit in, and I just can't connect with my other colleagues. And it was extremely isolating. So as I'm tapping, I'm also realizing that I felt inadequate, and I felt like I wasn't really doing enough. And even though I still think that some of the people there were a little bit odd, it was a culture. Let me put it this way. Colorado Springs has a culture that I don't resonate with. And, but I was blaming myself, but I was also kind of blaming, I think, other people, it wasn't just like, what's wrong with me? But it's like, well, I just don't fit into that culture. So there was a little bit of blame, if I'm honest. So here I am tapping on something professional currently, today, in today's time. So I'm tapping on something that's professionally. All these memories are coming up from the time of my cousin, my mother, all of a sudden Colorado Springs thing. And I'm tapping and I'm thinking like, wow, as I'm releasing all of this stuff, I really felt, and I really have come to understand that I had a distorted perception. So I really did not, in Colorado Springs, I really did not put myself out there when it came to marketing, like old school marketing, you know, going out there. Yeah, okay, a couple times I did some talks, but I was so busy with my Italian and Canadian clients and Puerto Rican clients, and I was doing all that. And I didn't realize, and this is the subconscious, so listen carefully, I didn't realize up until now that I was kind of hiding behind these clients. I wasn't being assertive. I didn't know how, even though I have a professional business guy, my husband, Stan, who works with me. I wasn't ready. I was allowing my fear to sort of get in the way. And I was sort of making these excuses, but the excuses were not conscious at all. They were subconscious, because I had felt so demoralized by not having a voice growing up as a teenager. I felt all this frustration, all this lack of resources, lack of money, not being able to do anything. I just felt like I was choking, like life was choking me, like my mother was choking me, my aunts were choking me. That when I came finally into something that I could do on my own, I just didn't know how to well, I did know how to do it. I just didn't know that it was fear that was disabling me. I hope that makes sense to all of you guys. And I really want to share this because I think it's really important to see how personal development works. So I'm remembering all this with the Colorado thing. And I was really able to tap it out, just really release the emotions and really be able to get to a place of self-forgiveness, because I did it to myself. Nobody did it to me. Nobody did it to me but myself. And I started to laugh, which, by the way, is actually a good thing. You want to laugh. You know, you've kind of overcome certain things when you can laugh about it. And I kind of did. And I feel really good that I was able to make peace with Colorado Springs, because as much as I worked hard, my fear disabled me. And I didn't know it was my fear. I didn't have a facilitator maybe to help me bring that out. I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore, but I know now, you know? So it's not just being afraid of being assertive. It's not just that, right? Because mostly anybody would be able to decode, well, you know, she had a very strong dominating mother, and so now she's afraid to speak her mind or to do things. Well, there was a part of that. I didn't have the skills. I didn't know. I believed something about myself, and it was the lack of. I did the best I could. My mother did the best she could. Everybody just did the best they could to survive, and it's all okay. And that's really what I would like to share with all of you. So it's extremely freeing to know that that I am, you know, that I feel empowered when it comes to this particular situation. So I hope that that you have gleaned some benefit from my story, and I was able to see certain patterns, if you will, from a current professional situation that now I no longer hold, because of those sessions, because of those memories that I brought to the surface, and those memories that I actually healed, right? So we want to get to the point where we don't condone abuse, we don't condone people's bad behavior, if you will, but we get to the point in our healing process where we can remember something, even if it's about ourselves, even if we did something to someone else that was so-called negative, and be able to not have that emotional negative emotions, guilt, shame, blame, grief, loss, all of these things. Okay? So I hope that's helpful. I'm encouraging you to live authentically. That's what Journey to Authentic Living is about. It's getting to the root of it. And there's so many memories we have and so many things, but as we uncover and as we heal them, right, we create a completely different reality. And now we can bring in and attract what is good and align with who we are. So anyways, I'm wishing you a great journey to healing yourself. And if you have any questions, please comment below, and or you can write to me. My email is actually in the link or within the caption of this video. All right, you guys, wishing you a fantastic journey. Okay, take care and talk to you later. Ciao.